Hello, everyone. Welcome to 3 o'clock with SOC. I'm Gabe Charles, the program manager. Give me just a second so I can make sure Spanish-speaking neighbors have access to our Spanish interpretation. Buenas tardes, gracias por estar aquí con nosotros en otro foro comunitario con SOC. Como siempre, ustedes pueden escuchar el programa en español a través de una llamada de conferencia. Y el número que hay que marcar aparece en la pantalla, es 646-749-3122. Y luego hay que introducir la contraseña, cual es 779-328-221. I also just want to remind everybody that you can access the videos that we have of our 3 o'clock with SOC show on our Facebook page and our YouTube page, even after we're live. So no matter what time of day it is that you might want to tune in and see who we've had on, what information we've shared, you can do that by going to our Facebook page or our YouTube page and rewatch the episodes that have the guests you think are interesting and important. I would also love to know who's here watching with us. Let me know by a thumbs up or a heart or just saying hello. If you're on there, we'd love to know. We love to know that there are people listening, and we always welcome that engagement in the comment section. And please do that whether you're watching it live or in another moment at any other time during the week or month. And with that, I just want to go ahead and bring on our guest right away, Sylvia Ortiz Velez, who is the County Board Supervisor for District 12. Hello.
Hi, good afternoon.
We're so excited you could be on here with us today. You've been on with us in the past, and we're very thankful for all of the information and updates that you bring to us from the county level and now from the state level too. So that will be exciting to dive into. But why don't you just go ahead and start by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about your connection to the districts that you represent at both the county and state level.
Well, thank you. Thank you for asking. My name is Sylvia Ortiz Velez, and I am the Milwaukee County Board Supervisor for District 12, which is the near south side, and also the state representative of District number 8, which is pretty much 90% of the same district. They overlap, pretty big, huge overlap. And I was born and raised in this neighborhood. Went to Kazi, Morgandale. I went to UWM, and I have a degree in political science. But most importantly, I've been a volunteer in this community for many years prior to running for office. So I'm happy to serve, and I know that I'm blessed to have the opportunity to.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think it's just great to know where the people that represent us come from, and we always love to see people that are from and born and raised in our districts who are the ones representing us now. So why don't you then explain your role at the county board and a little bit about the process of how a resolution or ordinance gets passed at the county board level.
Well, thank you for the question. There's a lot of work that is involved in any resolution. A lot of people don't realize how much work is involved. So once the legislative process starts, it usually starts with research, and they'll research a bill and they'll come up with a draft resolution to an issue. Once it goes through that process, then it gets referred to a committee by the chairwoman, and then that committee gets a vote, and then from there it goes on to the full board, where then it's adopted into our code of ordinances.
Yeah, thank you for that. We love to just make sure people can understand the way these different political bodies function, because sometimes it can seem very confusing. But yeah, so we're here today to talk about this resolution that would reduce the fine for marijuana possession in Milwaukee County. But can you start by giving us just a brief overview of any kind of referendum or resolution that's come up in the last few years regarding marijuana possession?
Well, thank you. So for a brief history, in 2018, there was a referendum in Milwaukee County and in actually 16 other counties and 3 cities in the state of Wisconsin. And in Milwaukee County, the question was full legalization. It wasn't even medical marijuana. It was a full legalization question. In the city of Milwaukee, it passed overwhelmingly by 75%. And then in Milwaukee County, it passed overwhelmingly by 69%. So there's a huge interest in people decriminalizing. There's been a long history in Wisconsin of inaction in this issue. So Wisconsin does not have a medical marijuana program, which makes it illegal for people trying to seek relief. So I'm blessed to have the opportunity to serve, and looking at the will of the people. And I've spoken to many people in the district as well, door to door, about this issue. And I've even met some people who might not agree with me, and then a lot people, a lot more people who do. And more or less, I'm agreeing with them because they're telling me what their problems are, what their issues are, and I'm looking at how can we fix it. So I represent 53204 and 53215, which has the highest deaths of overdoses anywhere in the state. And what I can tell you is that we know that to keep marijuana illegal, that a huge amount of false propaganda has been drilled into the American mind, that marijuana is a gateway drug. And I want to take a moment to address that issue, leading to more serious addictions. You'll also hear people say that by decriminalizing, we encourage the use of marijuana. Well, I just want to take a minute to address that. As far as it being a gateway drug, it might be for some people. But we also know that the data shows that alcohol is much more of a gateway drug than marijuana is. We also know that the harm of using marijuana is much more tolerable on your body. For example, when we look at overdoses at the county morgue, we don't have bodies there for, overdosing from marijuana. We have it for alcohol. We have it for pharmaceutical drugs, barbiturates, opiates, heroin, street drugs, but not for marijuana. And also there are many people that never may go on to using. So as it may be a gateway for some, it's not for everyone. So there's a lot of people who never go on to use anything else. Many people who smoke marijuana don't even drink alcohol. And then, I would also like to say that the fact that it's illegal in our state, it puts you in contact with other substances. So, if you were going into the grocery store to buy alcohol, you're not going to be offered other illicit drugs. So by having it illegal, it doesn't help by having people have contact with other illicit drugs. So that's something we know. We also know that in places like California, where it's legal and cheap, the usage rate among 18 to 25-year-olds is pretty much the same. And we also know that even that it's considered medicine in over 2/3 of the states. And we also know that in Wisconsin, we shouldn't be trying to criminalize people for trying to get their medicine. And even if there was a medical program, which, by the way, our state does not have a medical program, but even if there was, there would still be a need for a small amount of, for people to have a small amount, because one, our veterans, many of them will not go see a doctor to even get a medical card, even if we had a medical program. They just won't go see a doctor to get a medical card. So we don't want to continue to criminalize our veterans. And then also, not everybody has money to go and pay out of pocket for the cost every month to see a doctor and get a prescription. And not everybody has healthcare. So it's really, if a person has to decide between, $300 for their monthly medicine or $300 to go get a medical card a month, that's a hard choice for people to make. And legalizing marijuana doesn't bring in more drugs. We know that regardless of legalization or not, we know that the rate of marijuana use has been increasing across the board, regardless of legalization or not. We know that people are already utilizing this plant for medicine. We also know that there's another component to this issue, and it has to do with racial equity. We know that in Wisconsin, there's been many studies done, and we have lots of data to prove this. But recently, the ACLU found that Black Wisconsinites were 4.2 times more likely to be arrested for small amounts of marijuana possession, even though there's a common usage rate versus white Wisconsinites. So that's a big issue. We know that with the existing ordinance right now, it's $250 to $500 for the fine, but that's just the fine. Then you have to add on court costs. So now we're looking at like $750, $800 for any amount under 25 grams. So for even half a marijuana joint. And we know that that many people can't afford to pay the fines. A lot of times it goes to collections and it ends up on their credit report. So it's not really helping people out by, criminalizing them and having large fees that they can't pay on their records. We've only collected 25% of the fines that we've issued. So obviously people, don't have the ability to pay. That's an issue. In general, our state has pretty much failed. The only tools we have in our state for anything in our state, we don't have a medical marijuana program. We don't have legalization, but what we do have is Chapter 59 of the Wisconsin state statutes and Chapter 66. So Chapter 59 allows counties to regulate with a municipal fine. We're allowed to do this. Okay, it's the express will of the state legislatures to allow us as a county, any county in Wisconsin, to regulate with a fine up to 25 grams. So we're not doing anything that we're not allowed to do. Actually, the state government has allowed us to do this. So they've expressly said that we may impose a fine. If we don't impose a fine, then it becomes the first offense, any amount is a misdemeanor. So in any county that they don't exercise this chapter because they don't have to, but any county, the first offense is a misdemeanor. The second offense is a felony. And, Wisconsin is one of there's only, very few states that have not, passed some kind of legislation for cannabis in our, so we are literally surrounded by states that people are traveling to. So, in part we're kind of here because, Wisconsin has failed to act on this issue, to find a safe way from those suffering with chronic debilitating pain and illness. But also more than that, to ensure product safety. So we, like alcohol, how do we know people are taking a product that's safe? It's basically being unregulated in our state, whether we like it or not. It's here. And we don't have any way to ensure that people are having a product that's safe for them to use. And I think that that's also an important part of this. But like I said, under Chapter 59, it allows Milwaukee County and any county in our state to regulate from up to 25 grams per paraphernalia and up to 25 grams for cannabis. And so it did pass the Milwaukee County Judiciary Committee hearing this week, and it will be going on to the county board on March 25th.
Okay, that's a lot of information that you just shared. And I just want to uplift that we have a lot of this coming out in the comment section. Shout out to Drea for being in the comment section, making sure we're recording the things that you're sharing. And, she put the ACLU report in there. And I believe that you're going to reference a Shepherd Express article too, if you haven't already, regarding the same topic. So just keep an eye out in the comments, and anyone that's watching, please feel free to comment any questions or thoughts on this matter. I know it can be kind of a conflicting or divisive issue for some people, but it's definitely something we're open to discussing, especially as we have the person who is spearheading this resolution at the county level. So a couple questions then, referencing the referendum that you talked about. So this was in 2018. There was an overwhelming support for legalization of marijuana. What came of that referendum? Did any changes in terms of policy or the criminalization of marijuana at the city level or the county level actually change from that?
Well, I'd like to think that the actions that we took here in Milwaukee, we heard our voters loud and clear. So I think all of my colleagues, we're thinking also about the referendum. So, and I think in other parts of the state, I know that there's going to be a larger push to choose to exercise Chapter 59 in other counties across our state.
Yeah.
So definitely. I think it became a roadmap. Also, and Milwaukee is a great example of how we can utilize the tools that we do have. because at the state, it's been, nothing's really happened at the state on this issue. There's been bills, but they haven't gotten any hearings and they haven't gone anywhere. I know that there are a couple bills, one right now for a decriminalization. So as it is right now, and it might change during, before it comes before us as a full board in Madison, but they want to make it so every county across the state up to 10 grams, it would be $100 fine instead of a criminal charge.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be up to 14 grams. So right now, a county may choose to enact ordinances. If they don't, it's automatically a misdemeanor, and automatically a felony.
So if someone did have it, like, so if Milwaukee County does use this chapter 59, chapter 66, it wouldn't turn into a felony after the second offense the way it would if we're not enacting this chapter.
Right. And right now the state, each county is allowed to make their own decision on that, whether or not they want to enact 59. They don't have to. So there's only like 7 counties in the whole state that have out of 72, which is not many. So this legislation that's being presented at the state, what it would do is it would make every county, 72 counties, go up to 14 grams, where it wouldn't be a misdemeanor, but it would still allow the counties to go from 14 to 25 or 10 to 25. I'm sorry, 10 to 25 after that. So it would still allow the counties to regulate if they want to up to 25 grams, but it would make every county be at least 14 grams, which would be a much big improvement. It's actually, it's a much more improvement than where things are at now. I think it's important to understand for people who don't support this issue, is that, to think about, people who I've met in the district who have told me, that this was an exit drug for them. So there's plenty of evidence and plenty of states, 35 states already, that have medical programs that opiate and pharmaceutical addictions were reduced. I met someone here in the district who shared a very personal story with me, and told me that they suffer from chronic pain and they have to take something. And they initially started taking opiates, prescriptions from the doctor. It's an older woman. The person told me how that almost killed her, and how now all she takes is cannabis for her pain. She doesn't use anything else. So we also know it's an exit drug. So for many people, and there's lots of evidence. People say there's no evidence. There's tons of evidence and research. Call your LRB person. They can do the research. There's tons of evidence out there that shows that, it can reduce opiate use and it can reduce pharmaceutical uses. So there's a benefit. If it's not a benefit to you, think about how it could benefit someone else. And nobody's forcing you to take anything. There's, been all these myths, that if somehow marijuana becomes socially acceptable, that society is going to break apart. That hasn't happened. There's 35 states we have examples of. Their societies did not break apart and fall apart. What we're doing now is we're criminalizing people that don't have access to medicine that they need to have. And we're criminalizing our veterans who use it for PTSD. We're criminalizing people and not creating a safe way for people to have access to the medicine. We have no medical program in our state. So you're really in this catch-22 in our state right now. What we do have is we have protections for people if they're traveling from other states here and they have medical cards, but we don't have any laws to protect Wisconsinites. So,
yeah.
And
then
so that's cooking. And I hope to see a medical marijuana bill. I think that's something that could pass in our state. I don't think full legalization will pass in our state, but I think that there could be some compromise, hopefully, on medical. I'm hopeful.
Yeah. And I think too, something that we could consider is, what we're missing out on in terms of revenue for the state or for the county that could come from full legalization, but that's separate from this resolution specifically. Just a quick clarification then. So with this resolution, if this resolution passes in the county, what would it look like if someone was caught with under 25 grams or less of marijuana? At what point would it be a misdemeanor? At what point would it be a felony? So that's very clear for people.
Well, thank you for asking. And please pay attention because this is really important. Right now, as the state statutes are written and the chapter is written, will be written, up to 25 grams is a fine of $1, no more than $1. With court cost, it takes you to about $140, $141 altogether. Anything over that, and I know a lot of people, commonly through research, people commonly purchase this in an ounce, which is actually 28 grams. That's why I want people to pay attention. If you bought an ounce, it would not be covered. That's too many, 3 grams too many. And you could be charged with a criminal charge at 28 grams. So that's really important. I can tell you that there's a hope that we can actually change that, and so that it will actually go up to an ounce. So I know that that is something that's being worked on, long overdue. There's no real good legislative reason. I actually have some research on why it's 25 grams and not 28, which is the standard weights and measures of how people deal with this product. Because usually when they buy it in that amount, they get a discount, so people will buy it in that amount. So there is some room, I think, to try to get that changed to 28 grams. But right now it's 25. So anything after 25 grams, you could be still criminally charged.
Okay. But it wouldn't even be a misdemeanor then if 25 or less.
Correct. You could literally get 5 tickets. It's basically like a ticket. So you could literally get 5 tickets and never get a criminal charge, as long as you are under the 25 grams.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. I think that's a really important clarification for people, just to maybe get behind this if they're not yet. I know that, again, it can be divisive, but I think you've listed a lot of reasons why somebody should support something like this. And just especially how it affects people in our district, and thinking about how it affects people of color, these different criminal charges that come from such a low quantity of possession. So thank you for uplifting that. I know people will find this very interesting. Is there any final message you want to leave for people with this? I know you said on March 25th is when the full county board is going to be voting on it. So we'll definitely be paying attention to that. And hopefully we can have you on maybe next month to give an update and see where it's at. But any final messages for people that they should be looking out for?
Yeah, I think people should really need to look at the facts. Look at what we know. We know a lot. This is not like we have to study this issue. I mean, there's so many people who have already. I think what we need to do is be compassionate to the people who want to use this as medicine, and realize we don't have a medical program. So this is like the only way people can actually get access to this plant without having a criminal charge. And even if you don't support this, I would say talk to people who this has helped, and even if it doesn't change your mind, at least, you may learn something about this issue. There's just so much to this issue, and how much it can affect us. But I think it's really important to understand that the majority of the people in the city, they want this to be, regulated in a safe way. And we can only do that by making sure that we put the rules in place to help the people, And if I could do more, I guess I would say to people who feel like this isn't not enough, I would say to them that I agree with you 100%. And we're not going to stop here. We're going to keep pushing. We're going to do what we can to make sure that you have access to your plant that you need to help you with the ailments that you are suffering with, without being criminally charged.
Exactly. And I think this would tie into the movement to defund the police, whichever side you're on, right? Do we believe that police resources should be going towards enforcing such a low quantity of marijuana in a nonviolent manner, right?
I don't think the police actually think that they should be using their resources for this.
Exactly.
So
just another angle to look at it, right?
Well, it definitely is. And when you think about it, culturally speaking, being Latino, there are a lot of plants, I've been to Mexico and in Puerto Rico where I've seen different gardens, and we have different plants that we have used traditionally for different medicinal reasons. This is just like another plant. that we have, traditionally, that we even have, juicerias here that you can go and you can buy something for your diabetes. And I mean, so something like this is not like, we're Aboriginal people. So, this is a native plant. It's been around a long time. And I think, for the Latino community, it's not something as foreign to us thinking of a plant as medicine as it might be to other people,
Yeah, definitely. We have a question in the comments here from Drea. Talk to us about how residents can give comments on March 25th. Is there any e-comment available, or how can public give input if they're able?
They're actually at the full board. We don't take e-comments at the full board.
Okay.
So we don't have it set up that way. So we just take comments up into the committee. So that's the process. But what I would say is, if I'm not your county board supervisor, and someone else is representing you, even if I'm representing you, please, if you want your voice heard, contact our office, contact your county board supervisor. Many of them, you can go online, find out who your county supervisor is, and you can find their page online.
Yeah, definitely. So if Drea could add in the link to find your county supervisor, that would be great, so that you can get their email or contact info to reach out to them and give them your thoughts on this resolution for that March 25th meeting. Sylvia, thank you so much for being with us. We're really appreciative, and we look forward to hearing more about how this progresses in the future.
Well, I'm really excited. I hope it's a roadmap for other counties to exercise Chapter 59 and listen to the voice of the people they serve.
Absolutely. Well, you have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Very thankful to Supervisor Ortiz Velez for being on with us. A lot of information is in the comments for us. So if you are tuning in, make sure you look at that comment section to get links to the different articles and reports and things like that that were referenced in our conversation with Supervisor Ortiz Velez. And now I'm just going to play a COVID update that one of our youth organizers prepared.
Hi, I'm Jasmine. I am getting the COVID-19 vaccine because I miss being out without a mask. I'm looking forward to graduating and crossing the stage without a mask. Miss going out to restaurants. I look forward to traveling. I miss hanging out with friends. I miss going to dances. Looking forward to get reunited with family. I miss going to Mexico. I want to be able to go to fun places. If you find the places eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine, go to city.milwaukee.gov/COVIDvax to register for the COVID-19 vaccine. Someone will be in contact with you once you have this filled out. Thank you.
And I'm also going to share a video I made back in November that shows how you can request your absentee ballot. So the dates are still November dates, but it's the same process. So I'll just share that with you now, and you can find that link in the comments. Hi, everyone. So I'm just going to show you how you can request your absentee ballot on your phone. So go to myvote.wisconsin.gov, and we'll take you to the home page of My Vote. And then it shows the options here, and you'll click Vote Absentee. So then this will show up, and you'll enter in your first name, your last name, and then your date of birth to confirm your voter registration, and to then go on and request your absentee ballot. So type in your date of birth finally, and then you'll hit search. And then your voter information will show up, and you can update your name or address if you need to. Otherwise, then request the absentee ballot. So your voter information will show up again, and you can confirm that that address and name are correct, or you can decide to mail your ballot to a different address and then move on. So then it will ask you which elections you want your absentee ballot for. This was done back in the day, but November 3rd should show up for you this time. And then you'll just have to check the box that says, I hereby certify, blah, 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 and then request your ballot. Then it will have you or upload an image of your identification, passport, license, whatever it might be. You'll take that from your gallery on your phone or directly from your camera and hit continue. And then you should be good to go. So again, we have an election coming up on April 6th, and the last day to register to vote online, if you are not registered, is March 17th. So that is this Wednesday. So if you have not registered to vote, you can do so on the website that I just shared. And you can also use that website to request your absentee ballot if you prefer to vote that way once again for this election. But again, it's April 6th for the spring election this year. We have the superintendent of public instruction, that's going to be on that ballot, as well as school board directors and municipal judges and other positions like that. So you definitely want to be paying attention. These local offices can make a big impact on us in a local way. So definitely be looking at who will be on your ballot and making sure that you have a plan to get out and vote on April 6th. I'm also just going to share who's going to be with us for the rest of this week. Tomorrow we have Shauna Anderson on from Employ Milwaukee to talk about the Earn and Learn Summer Youth Program. We've got Benjamin Sanchez coming on from the Department of Neighborhood Development. Then we've got Hisham Zaibak coming on, who's a doctor of pharmacy and founder of Hyatt Pharmacy, coming on Thursday. And then Friday, we'll see an interview with Jean Geraci, who is the executive director of the Benedict Center. And they've got a lot going on coming up in these next few months. So we definitely want to see what they have going on that Friday interview. So thank you so much for being with us today. I'm going to leave you all with our survey promo and ask that you all fill out that survey to let us know your thoughts on, how we're doing, what topics you want to hear, and any other feedback you want to give us. Have a great rest of your Monday, and we'll be back with you tomorrow.
Has this live forum been informative and useful to you? What part of the forum could be improved or changed to make it better? Please take a quick survey that's located in the comments section so that we can keep 3 o'clock with SOC going for residents. Thank you for tuning in.